Well, good Saturday morning. It's the 7th of February. I'm NBC Connecticut storm tracker meteorologist Alexis Clemens. We're live on Facebook and on YouTube right now just to talk about what's going on outside because on air on Channel 30, we've got Olympic coverage all day long, which is so much fun. And it's the perfect day to stay inside and watch it. But if you have us on your mobile device right now, we can chat about what's going on outside because we've got some changes out there for you for sure. So let's go ahead and dive right in. Here's a look at some of the snowfall totals I've seen so far. So we did make a quick change to that forecast last night because we were expecting some heavier totals, some higher totals in the eastern part of the state, which is starting to come in. Plainfield, Ledyard Center at 4 to 5 inches already. Mystic at 3 and about 3.5, 3 in Higganum. Officially at Bradley, only an inch. A lot of the state only seeing an inch, 2, maybe up to 3, but it's the eastern part of Connecticut. They have a better chance to maybe see those higher totals. Another look at some of those totals: 4.1 inches in Norwich, 4 in Danielson, 3.5 in New London, 2.5 in Pomfret, 2 in Meriden. So send us in your reports as well. We love to see them. Like I say, we have, while most of the state is expected to see 1 to 3 inches, those in the eastern part of the state, Windham, even parts of Tolland and New London counties, likely going to see those higher totals where it's 3 inches plus. So let's take a look at your satellite and radar out there right now because it's a very interesting setup that's happening. So you'll notice that a lot of us are starting to dry out. Let me see if I can go ahead and pull up. So this right here definitely tells the story. Let me go ahead and pause the radar for you. Your cold front is right about there. I'm going to go ahead and draw that on right there. So cold front's right about there. As you can see, that's kind of the final push of the snow from this specific part of the system. Winds are starting to pick up very quickly behind this front here. But I want to go back to that rotation or that the loop of the satellite here, because let me go ahead and grab my little pointer here. You kind of see what's happening in this area. There's kind of a rotation, right? Yeah. So this is what we would call a Norland trough. And what's happening here is it's enhancing the snowfall totals, especially in southern Rhode Island. Believe it or not, this little itty bitty snow system has created almost 9 or 10 inches in parts of southern Rhode Island right now. And that's what we were concerned was going to make its way back into parts of eastern Connecticut. And it kind of did in parts of like I said, Windham and New London counties there, maybe even parts of Tolland County, but for the most part, the eastern part of the state. We've got some comments coming in. Somebody said it's cold. Very interesting. When is it going to stop? Because the wind is blowing the snow back. Are all the towns getting heavy winds? Yeah, the wind is no joke. And that is why we have been pressing so hard on this cold that we're seeing, because a 50-mile-per-hour wind gust on a good day, not great. On a day when we're talking about polar air, even worse. So that is, it's howling, it's biting, whatever the words are to describe it. These are your current wind gusts right now. And again, you can see where that cold front is going to be crossing over 395 there in eastern Connecticut very soon. So winds are gusting up to 38 miles an hour in Greenwich. I think I've seen already a wind gust up to 45 miles an hour. Early this morning when I was forecasting, I was watching that cold front just moving across the northeast. In Binghamton, New York, I think I saw a wind gust about 52 miles an hour. And that's bringing in just brutally cold air. So unfortunately, the wind is here. If you're not hearing it in eastern Connecticut just yet, you will very soon. And once it starts, likely not going to stop for a little while. Going to be very windy through the rest of today, through tonight, and even parts of Sunday as well. Somebody said, when is winter going away? I've had more than enough of this. I agree. But there is good news. I think the next 48 hours, not going to be the best, but things are actually starting to shape up a little bit better for us by the end of the 10-day forecast. That is good news there. The next 48 hours, got to hunker down, stay inside. And genuinely, with the cold air, right? We don't like to overhype anything, truthfully. But this cold air, it's been cold this year so far, but we haven't seen anything like this. People are asking about power outages. Unfortunately, that with winds this strong, that's always a possibility. And it's something that we absolutely do not want with how cold it is out there. Because I do want to show you those feels like temperatures. Just take a look. You can see that cold front just doing damage in terms of bringing in that cooler air. Already dropped the feels like temperature to -4 in Waterbury and Greenwich, 3 below zero in Windsor Locks. Still okay on the eastern part of the state there. But again, that cold front continues to make its way across the region now at 9:12 this morning. So unfortunately, power outages very well could be a possibility. I hope not. I think we have a wind advisory for parts of the state. We're right on that threshold. I think a wind advisory, if my memory serves correctly, the wind advisory comes into play when we're going to see 50 mile per hour wind gusts for a longer period of time. We're just below that threshold. For the most part, we could see one or two areas of that 50 mile per hour winds, but it's not sustained for a long period of time. But still, very, very windy, very cold. Quite a bit going on across the region here. And I do want to hear from you all in terms of your snowfall totals, because it's an interesting. We showed a couple of them. I do want to show this graphic as well. I think this does a really good job of painting the picture here, once it loads, of course, with what we are seeing here. Somebody asked, is it a wet snow or a dry snow? It is a dry snow for sure. We can attest for coming in this morning, just a quick little dust of that snow off of your windshields, and it's pretty easy. So nice little dry snow. And that's kind of why it's starting to accumulate a little bit more, especially in eastern Connecticut here. Take a look at some of those this is radar estimated here, but take a look at that dark purple you see there in southern Rhode Island. We've seen some reports from southern Rhode Island nearing 9 or 10 inches of snow from this system. You might have heard Bob talk about, and Ryan, a Norland trough, right? This is what's happening here. And we were watching it. We're like, okay, it's going to be to our east. We know that. But how far west does it want to come? And it's trying to this morning make its way into eastern Connecticut. And it's definitely producing higher totals there. It's just a very, very interesting setup. And with stuff like that, I mean, it'll produce a nice steady snow for a while, and a dry snow accumulates higher. You typically see higher snowfall totals with a dry snow, which is what we're seeing here. So let us know what's in your backyard. Like I said, I've seen some reports of 5 inches in parts of eastern Connecticut, allegedly 7 in some areas, or really close to the Rhode Island border. So please let me know what you're seeing. Somebody says around 7 inches in Voluntown as of 8:30. Yeah, that is I believe it with just, I mean, snow is, if it can tap into some heavier snow for a little while in these temperatures, it'll pile up. So thank you so much for that report. Somebody said, how are roads? Not in the best shape, but I would say most of us are doing okay. Interstates are pretty good from what I've seen over the last few hours. Those back roads, snow covered, and it's a dry snow, which is very slippery. It's more slippery than slushy, so something to keep in mind for sure. Just from some of the cameras that I've seen for sure, definitely traffic is flowing slower. In my commute, in West Hartford this morning, I wasn't comfortable taking it above about 40 miles an hour on the interstate. So do with that what you will, but they're not in the best condition, and you definitely do have to dust off the vehicles before heading out for sure. Somebody asked, are there any big snow events coming? Honestly, not that I can see. Nothing's signaling a big system. We do have a small chance for snow Tuesday night into early Wednesday, but it doesn't look like much. Little clipper system. Somebody said roads are surprisingly horrible in Waterbury, maybe because of the blowing snow. Yeah, I mean that anytime we've got that dry snow and the wind, not a good combination. And that dry snow is very, very slippery. So yeah, definitely. I mean, I wouldn't advise driving, but in my head, 2 weeks ago was that huge snowstorm, and driving through that was not fun. I know it wasn't encouraged at all. It's not as bad as that, but still, not good. So definitely take it easy on the roads there. Somebody says less than an inch in West Haven. What does that dark mean on the map? The darker areas on the map just mean higher snowfall totals. Or at least this is your snowfall estimate from radar. So that lighter blue is less than an inch, roughly. The darker blue is about an inch or 2 inches. And then the purple is where you would go closer to like 3 to 6 inches. So that's kind of what we're watching right now. Somebody says, what do you see as the temperature trend going forward through February? Will it stay brutally cold or moderate? I've got good news in terms of the brutally cold stuff. I'm not seeing any signatures of another cold blast for a while. That's good news. Hopefully this is our last one. I can't say that with confidence though, because we all know Mother Nature does its own thing, but I think, through the 10-day, we're definitely starting to lift in those temperatures here. And I'll even go ahead and show you this. The next 48 hours, not going to be fun, but after that, it does get a lot better. Somebody says, nothing really in Farmington, just snow blowing around. Yeah, it's that fluffy snow. That wind is just brutal. I can see the trees swaying in the background. Snow with the fluffy snow, it's going to fly about. That's also going to reduce visibility. So something to note, if you do have to drive today, I'd recommend, if possible, just put the errands off till tomorrow. But if you have to be out, give yourself plenty of extra time to get to where you're going. And if you're looking for something to do, we've got Olympics coverage on NBC Connecticut. So it works out well. 7 inches in Griswold, Connecticut. I believe it with the Norland Trough happening there. We saw some pretty moderate snow for a little while. That fluffy snow can pile up, as we've seen. So thank you so much for that report. 2 inches in Trumbull. Have to drive up Route 8 to Prospect around noon. I expect the snow will be done in Western Connecticut soon. In Western Connecticut, I do think we're starting to wrap up with that snow. So there's your temperature trend. Yay. We'll go back to the radar, though. Again, roads, I'm not sure how fast, crews are out there and doing their thing. I'm sure they're doing a great job. I have seen them out and about. But on Route 8 especially, things are definitely drying out for Western Connecticut. But while the snow, is wrapping up, it's still going to, I'm trying to think of how best to describe it. Still might look like it's snowing because of the blowing snow, and we might still have a couple of flurries. But I will say your accumulations are starting to wrap up now. So Route 8 should be okay. Should be at least on through the better than the rest of the state there. But I would still probably give yourself some extra time to clear off the cars and head up north. But yeah, be safe. Do you know how many inches for New London? In New London, I think we've seen a report of about 3 or 4 inches at this point. But again, we're still looking for more from all of you. I'm just going off of the data that we've already seen that's sent to us from all of you and from the National Weather Service. So it looks like as of 7:45 this morning, we had a report from New London at 3.5 inches. So I'm sure it's up to 4 now. That would be my guess just from in the last, 2 hours since that report came in. Let's see. When will we get above normal temperatures? Unfortunately, I don't think above normal is in really the forecast, but it does get closer to or right around average. That's kind of what I'm seeing through at least the next couple of weeks of February, at least the middle of February. So we'll take it. I did have a 40-degree temperature on the end of the 10-day, so heading towards President's Day. What is it? 9 days from now. So that was exciting to put that on the board. 40. Actually, that's pretty close to average for this time of year. So I can't necessarily say it's above average, but the 30s, maybe near 40, come in by Tuesday. We just have to get through this weekend and Monday. Somebody says 4 inches in New London. Thank you very much. 3 inches in Middletown, 4 inches in Danielson. Somebody said, snow ended in Middletown, but the wind picked up. Also in Danielson, that heavy snow. I mean, yeah, take a look at that on your satellite and radar. That is the cold front pushing through. And you might even hear the cold front pushing through, or you'll definitely see it or feel it. I wouldn't really encourage being outside right now just because that wind is crazy, but you might be able to hear it just because you know how wind howls, and that cold front is packing some really strong wind gusts behind it. So yeah, so that here, let me pull it up on my little clicker here, my little pointer. Well, eventually, and if everything can load. Yeah, so look at that right there. So that darker blue, that is the cold front right there. And winds are picking up right alongside it. So kind of that final push of snow there with this system. So again, the final push technically like for accumulations and stuff, but you could still see a couple of flurries flying about through the rest of the day. But this is kind of that final push for those accumulations. Let's see, 2 inches in Vernon. Thank you very much. Let's see. Somebody says, you're finally back. How much time did you take off? I took off a couple of days to go to New York. So it was a lot of fun. But now I'm back and it's cold. It was cold there though too. I hear the winds picking up in Waterbury. Definitely. It is windy out there. Let's take a look at those winds again. And I'll walk you through those feels like temperatures as well. Cause yeah, they're just not fun. I'm sick of the cold. I'm sure all of you are. That groundhog, man. We all knew. I knew what was going to happen. And of course, Mother Nature does her own thing anyways. But let's walk through these wind gusts because they are just, it's tough. Like I said, I mean, a 40-mile-per-hour wind gust on a normal day is rough. But when you add in the cold, I really hope we don't have power outages. But unfortunately, with things like this, with that wind, it's always a possibility. So we will, of course, keep an eye on that. Let's see what else we've got. Yeah, the wind's getting, somebody said the wind's getting bad on the shoreline in Mystic. Yep, that cold front definitely moving into eastern Connecticut now. I've kind of been watching it move across the region over the last like 2 or 3 hours or so. So yeah, no fun. Somebody said, yeah, like for physical therapy this morning, just take it slow on the roads. Watch your step as well, because I mean, like I said, that dry, fluffy snow, we saw so much of it two weeks ago. It feels like so much longer, but it's very slippery. So make sure you watch it. Even if roads look okay, just take it a little bit slower. And of course, use your brush to dust everything off of your vehicles, the top of it as well. I know it's hard, but definitely, it's all about safety. So just take it easy out there. If you can wait until tomorrow to be out on the roads, that would be great. Just know as well, though, that wind, unfortunately, is not going to settle down until likely Sunday night. So that is tough. We've got a really great report here from WFPN radio in Connecticut. Snow was a 22-to-1 ratio when I measured at 7:45 a.m. If you're wondering what that means, it's called the snow to liquid ratio. Dry, fluffy snow usually produces some really high ratios. So what you do is you pick up as much snow as you do in a rain gauge. You bring it inside, melt it down, and you see what the water equivalent is. And then you can do the math. And so 1 inch of rain would equate to 22 inches of snow. We're not going to see any of that. Don't worry. But it shows just how dynamic this system is. So really, really interesting stuff. How much is expected in Pawcatuck? In Pawcatuck, I think we're going to close in on that 6-inch mark. I think it looks pretty likely over towards the Rhode Island border there. Somebody says whiteout conditions with the wind. Yeah, that's I saw that even this morning with that wind and the snow. Here's a look at some of that visibility. Look at that, especially in eastern Connecticut with that really heavy snow right now. Down 395. Unfortunately, we've already seen a couple of crashes on the interstate this morning. If they're weather related, I don't know, but it definitely is a good possibility just because of everything that's been happening. But look at that, down to a 1/4 mile of visibility in Groton and Stonington. I believe Ryan Hanrahan talked yesterday about how this is the anniversary of the blizzard of 1978. I was not alive at that time, but we were talking all about it, and nothing like that today. But still, I mean, that wind and creating low visibility for a short amount of time, and those really chilly temperatures. It's tough. Let me know if you guys remember that blizzard of 1978. I want to hear all about it. I want to hear your stories. It's very interesting. Somebody said the sun's peeking out in New Britain. That's exciting. I don't see anything like that in West Hartford right now. I'm just looking out the window, but that's fun. We like that. It's just it's misleading because of the cold, for sure. Yes, there's your visibility. Still not great. Your winds are picking up now across the entire state here. Stonington likely going to get in on the wind action here very soon. You're likely going to hear it. The time is now 9:28, or coming up on 9:28. So thanks again for joining us this morning. Your feels like temperatures are dropping quite a bit, down to -4 in Waterbury and Greenwich, -3 in Windsor Locks. Take a look at that. It actually just dropped to 6 in Hebron. Really cold. Now at 5 in the Groton, New London area. That's no fun. Let's walk you through that wind chill there, because it's just no joke today. It's really tough. So right now we're starting to see things cool down across the state. Below zero for some of those wind chills. Eastern Connecticut, the winds haven't quite picked up just yet, but they will very soon. Take a look at what happens by noon. We're already at that 0 degree mark, or even below that across the state. And then this afternoon, everybody jumps in on the below zero wind chill, right? So as we head towards this evening, it's down to -10, -20 degrees. Very, very cold. It's tough. Somebody is talking about 1978, that blizzard. Okay, we have a couple people 3 days away from home plowing. Wow. Thank you so much for that. It wasn't fun. Somebody said also, I was at Yukon in stores. They had to shovel snow out of your car engine parked in back of the football field then. Wow. And then the amount of snow that you guys had was unbelievable. That's crazy. Those are just stuff that sticks with you for sure. I think maybe as a Met, I might be the only one who does this, but I think about those big weather events, like what we saw 2 weeks ago. Kids now, will they remember that will it be a big core memory for them? It's really interesting how weather can do that and how you can remember that. So really cool. Thank you all for sharing. I love to hear those stories. Somebody said it's very windy in Bridgeport right now. Yeah, it's tough. When we're seeing wind gusts up to 40-45 miles an hour, extremely windy. And it's brutally cold. Like I said, I've been saying it all morning, but wind gusts over 40 miles an hour on a good day is not fun. When you pull in this Arctic air, it just makes it 50 times worse. So we're seeing these feels like temperatures continue to drop through tonight, because that wind is going to gust up to 40 miles an hour today, tonight, and even into tomorrow a little bit as well. A little bit calmer tomorrow, but still very windy. And these wind chills into Sunday morning, look at that. Potentially down to close to -30 degrees. Again, it's been cold this year so far. We've had cold weather advisories, but now we have an extreme cold warning. And with this wind especially, the air mass that we're in, frostbite can form within 20 to 30 minutes of exposure. So that's why it's going to be really important to just kind of ride this one out inside. I'm really just hoping that power is going to be okay. Eversource, we're not seeing any issues so far, so that's good. I hope that stays the case. Usually we start to see power outages when wind gusts are for a while over 50 or 60 miles an hour. I don't think it gets that bad, but still very windy. So hopefully everything will be okay and we'll move on. But we do have to get through an extremely cold Saturday and Sunday. Another thing to know is, unfortunately, is you might be, brushing that snow off of your car. Remember, don't It's tough. It's tough. If you have to brush off your car this weekend, I mean, if you can wait until like late Sunday, early Monday, honestly, I would, just because of how cold it is. But if you have to be out there, grab the brush, layer up, gloves. You don't want your skin exposed, but gloves, scarves, hats, all of that stuff. Brush for a couple of minutes, then go inside and warm up. Like I said, frostbite can form within 20 to 30 minutes of exposure in these conditions. And that goes by quickly if you're shoveling or cleaning up things. So be really, really careful to not test that limit for sure. So just trying to say that in the best way possible. So I appreciate all of your stories, your reports. It's been really, really great so far. I do want to go ahead and look at those snowfall totals yet again. And like I said, in this call, some of you have reported 7 inches of snow in eastern Connecticut. And I absolutely believe it with this northern trough we've got going on. We were watching it. We're watching it to our east, and it did move into eastern Connecticut. So that's producing some higher totals there. So that's kind of what we're seeing. I'm going to go ahead and show you that snowfall radar estimate again. And yeah, so again, showing that we are seeing some higher totals. So that dark purple there is let me grab my my little clicker, my pointer. So right here, this dark purple, and based on reports that I'm seeing from you, and it's tough to measure snow with the blowing snow with the wind in play. So that's why it's tough to really get accurate measurements. But right here, that darker purple, we've got some reports coming in at 7 inches, which matches up with this graphic here. So that's, so seeing just some higher totals there in eastern Connecticut. The rest of us, mostly, it's been 1 to 3 inches for the most part across the state. So that's kind of what we're seeing. So again, let us know what you're seeing as well. We would appreciate it. So again, just stay as warm as possible. I know it's tough with everything that's going on. We do have this extreme cold warning. Technically doesn't go into effect until about 1 p.m. because that's when those wind gusts or those wind chills will drop below -10, -20 degrees. And it's going to stay that way until Sunday afternoon. Let me go ahead and walk you through really quickly what the feels like temperature is going to look like again, and that wind as well. Then I'll leave you on some good news with the warm up, and then we'll go from there. But that feels like temperature is dropping. Temperatures are going to drop through the day. If you're waiting for it to get warmer today, it's not really going to do that. We're going to see these wind chills. They're starting to drop into the sub-zero wind chills here, and they're going to drop even further through the afternoon and evening hours down to -10, -20 degrees, even up to -30, maybe in some areas there. And through Sunday, take a look at that. Those wind chills through Sunday, not going to be great either. We might lift up to a feels like temperature of like 0 degrees tomorrow afternoon. Not going to be great. I want to show you the wind gusts really quickly. Somebody's saying about 3.5 inches in southeast Manchester. Very, very cold from the wind. Thank you for that report. I know it's tough out there. And again, I can't stress enough that this cold, it's been cold, but it hasn't been this cold with the wind. So take it very seriously. Somebody says 6 inches in Stonington. Again, yeah, I believe that with the Norland trough that we were talking about here. Bob called that a couple of days ago, and he was right on the money with that. So amazing. Amazing that I get to work with some amazing, awesome people, awesome meteorologists who know what they're talking about. But we've got these winds. They're definitely gusting up to 35, 40 miles an hour. And then they're strong through the day. Unfortunately, they just don't die down. That wind is just brutal right now. And we'll continue to track it through tonight and even into tomorrow. That wind doesn't really die down until we head towards like Sunday night. So as I kind of, even still, a little bit of a breeze into early Monday. So that's when that wind chill is really going to start to die down. So I'm like repeating myself at this point, but your wind chill gets all the way down to, let me show you Monday. Monday morning, a cold start down to -5 to up to -15 degrees there. So that is a cold start. So it's cold today, cold tomorrow, a cold start to Monday, then we start to warm up. So there's good news at the end of, at the end of the tunnel there. Somebody says windy in East Hartford, 1 to 3 inches we are expecting, 1 to 3 inches have fallen for most of the state here. It's just Eastern Connecticut, a lot of Windham and New London counties now coming in a little bit higher. So that's what we're seeing here. And up to like 6, 7, 8 inches. I haven't seen 8 yet, but I have seen 6 and 7 inches of reports there. So, and blowing snow, that makes it tough. Might see some snow drifts out there as well. But here's some excitement for people who want it to warm up. We're getting into the 30s as we head through Tuesday. Somebody says, no way most of the state is 3 inches above. No. I'm saying most of the state is at 1 to 3 inches. Most of the state is within that threshold, 1 to 3. Eastern Connecticut is 3+. So I think in West Hartford we've seen about 1.5 inches, 2 inches from what I've seen so far. So, but those temperatures are warming up. We're back in the 30s on Tuesday, and we'll stay there. 37 is the average high temperature for this time of year. So we're getting there. And I think we kind of stay there. I will show you this to give you a little glimmer of hope here. The 8 to 14 day temperature outlook is starting to favor some above average temperatures across a lot of the middle and eastern parts of the country. So good news there. Take that with a grain of salt, because technically above average temperatures for this time of year, when we're going into late February, that would bring us into the 50s. I don't think the 50s are on the way for us, but the 40s I could definitely see. The 30s through much of the 10-day. But let's take a look at your 10-day forecast, because we've got some 30s on the board, but 39 by Monday. I've got us at 40 next Monday. That is President's Day at the shoreline. I do want to talk about some upcoming stuff going on right now. Of course, we've got the snow right now, the extreme cold through tomorrow and early Monday. But we're watching some small chances for a little bit of snow Tuesday night into Wednesday, and then also monitoring something by next Saturday. I know that's Valentine's Day, so we'll keep an eye on that. But I'll tell you right now, just from forecasting this morning, it didn't look like a huge thing or really anything at all. It was a very small system. So take of that what you will. We're going to keep that rain snow chance for next Saturday on the board, just to keep an eye on it. But I would say right now it doesn't really look like much. Of course, we all know that could change, but definitely, we'll definitely watch it for sure. And I'll go ahead and show you the shoreline as well. 40 degrees at the end of the 10-day. We'll take it. We'll definitely take it for sure. So thank you all again for joining us on this live stream. We've really appreciated it. We've been on for about 30 minutes now. If you have any other questions, just let me know, and we'll have some fun. But stay warm, with this snow removal as well. Again, 20 to 30 minutes is all it takes for frostbite to form in these conditions. So as you're shoveling that snow, be really, really careful. Take plenty of breaks. And have everything covered. You don't want any skin exposed when you're outside, because that wind is just absolutely biting. So just make sure you're being careful there. Somebody asked, we've got a couple more questions really quickly. When will the snow end in Killingly? We're really expecting that to wrap up here soon, within the next hour or two, and for at least the accumulation aspect. But we could see a couple of flurries, and that wind could blow some snow around through the day. But most of the accumulation should wrap up by about 11 a.m. noon or so. Let's see what else we've got. What time are we coming back on? We do have Olympics coverage all day, but we will have updates at 6 p.m. on NBC Connecticut. And we are on always 5:30 in the morning, which we'll be back tomorrow morning. Somebody said, do you have a map of power outage tracker? I can pull it up for you, but I'll just keep an eye on it for sure. Outage. Oh, look at it. Somebody also said, what's the wind chill for the shoreline today? Unfortunately, could drop down to about negative 20 degrees later on today. So just be prepared. Very, very cold. Not great. Negative 20, negative 30. Not going to be the best there. Let's see. Power outages. It looks like we have nothing reported right now. Only 6 customers affected out of 1 million. So good news there. Good news there. Nothing so far. We're going to hope it stays that way because especially with that cold, cold weather, really, really tough for sure. Somebody said cold as a mackerel's left fin. I like that. I've never heard that one before. I've heard of cooler than the flip side of my pillow. That's pretty fun, but I think this is much, much colder than that. So that's awesome. You guys are great. Yeah, we'll continue to update you. I would encourage you to, if you have us on social media, wherever you're following us, Facebook, YouTube, follow us, subscribe, get those notifications. Our NBC Connecticut weather app, or not, it's all, it's not just weather, it's everybody. Our app is really, really great. And if we do see any power outages, we will be the first to let you know. We'll push that notification to you. But right now, we're not seeing those issues. So that is good news there. I am looking at the outage map right now. I wish there was a way I could show you, but I can confirm right now. It says fewer than 5 people affected out of 1.3 million. So that's good news. Good news. Somebody said, when is my next trip to Southington McDonald's? I remember I did that a few weeks ago. I guess I'll have to go back. It sounds yummy. It sounds yummy. That's awesome. You guys are great. Somebody also said WFPN radio season to date, we've had 33.7 inches. We're actually above average in snow. So while temperatures have been below average for February and January so far in 2026, snow is above average. So take of that what you will. Very different than what we saw this time last year. So very, very interesting stuff. Definitely. So thank you all again for tuning in. We appreciate it. Stay warm. This is extremely cold. That wind is no joke. I'm not looking forward to going outside and having to head home because it's tough. Stay warm. Let us know if we can help you in any way that we can. We always, it's all about safety here. So we want to keep everybody as safe as possible, but stay warm. Remember, we have to get through a cold and windy Saturday, Sunday, and start to Monday. Then things are getting better. Right now, I don't see any more signals of another cold blast. Everybody, fingers crossed, knock on wood, that it stays that way because I think we can handle the snow, but the cold, no fun. Somebody said also, or WFPN radio, even with the last snowfall, we are still in a drought. I'll have to look at the drought monitor. Right now, we don't really pay attention to all of that just because, it's frozen right now. Once it melts, I think we'll see a lot of improvements across the region. So that's going to be something we definitely track into March and April and all of that stuff. But with all of the snow, looking ahead right now, with all the snow that we've got over New England, we'll have to watch river levels once everything melts and ice jams and stuff like that. So definitely things to keep an eye on. And we, once we see any issues, we'll let you know for sure and give you all the information that you need to be safe and go on about your day. So again, we appreciate all of your reports, all of your stories. I appreciated learning all about what you guys thought of the 1978 blizzard of Connecticut. It's cool to, think back and of those big weather events that you remember. So great stuff. Somebody's also talking about the Super Bowl. NBC, we've got the Super Bowl tomorrow. We're so excited. The Pats and the Seahawks. It's going to be a game. I think it's going to be a good game. We'll see what happens. I think people are divided in the comments, but between the Seahawks and the Patriots, but it's going to be a good game. It's always so fun to watch. And if you can do it with friends and family, it's the best time. So that's what I'm looking forward to doing. So again, I appreciate it. Oh, somebody said hello from my last markets in Wisconsin and Missouri. So thank you guys so much. Hello. Hope everybody's staying warm. Stay safe. We'll keep you updated through this weekend and, of course, beyond that. But remember, stay warm, as we go through this weekend, things are going to get better by the middle of the week. So we'll keep you updated. Have a great weekend. Stay safe, stay warm.